So this is the Google Pixel 6 Pro, and whilst at the end of 2021 people were downplaying this phone and saying it was a no-buyer, almost a year later this phone has come a long way and is an amazing Pixel phone to use. So the question comes, should you buy this phone in 2022, and is it a good phone? So the first thing I want to talk about is the design of this phone. So I absolutely love this design. Personally, I think you should go for this color because it's minimalistic, it's not too out there with some of the other Pixel 6 colors, and overall it just has a really good vibe, if you know what I mean. This phone has a 6.7-inch screen and overall body, so it is pretty chunky in the hand, but I think it should be fine for the average person. So one of the things that was speculated a lot on about the design of this phone was a specific characteristic, and that was the camera bump. So when I unboxed the phone, it did take some getting used to, hence why I punched in on the camera bump on that shot in the unboxing, and if you have not watched that, I'll link it down below. But yeah, I like the design personally. I think it's really nice and it does take getting used to, but honestly I think it's pretty cool. So overall the design of this phone is very, very nice because it looks good, it feels very good in the hand, and has that expensive, heavy feeling. Coming off that subject about design, let's talk about the screen of this phone. This has a 6.7-inch QHD 120Hz display. I wouldn't say it's on the lines of the S22 and the S22 Ultra, but the screen of this phone is just fine, especially given everything else that's great about this phone. There's a massive jump from a 60Hz phone like this to a 120Hz phone like this, and it is very, very noticeable. In my opinion, 120Hz definitely makes a massive, massive difference, even though I wouldn't say you'd tell the difference as much with that kind of phone, given that the jump isn't too much. But either way, 120Hz is very noticeable with this phone, so definitely something to keep in mind when you're buying a phone, the refresh rate. As well as this, watching YouTube videos and all of that stuff is very, very nice on this phone, especially with the high resolution display, as I've already talked about. This is great for watching videos. With a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio, colors pop, and this is what I love about the screen. It's just extremely crisp and clear. Unlike some of the other Pixel phones in the lineup, like the Pixel 4a 5G, this phone has a much more premium feeling, at least screen, as it's made of Corning Gorilla Glass Victus as opposed to Corning Gorilla Glass 3, which is what's used on most watches nowadays, like the Fitbit Versus 3. The following photos were shot on the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Okay, so a very, very massive selling point with this phone was actually the cameras, and now after using this phone I can understand why. This has a f1.8 50 megapixel camera. The f1.8 meaning that you can get really blurry backgrounds. Just to explain it better, on a camera, the higher the f-stop, the more background blur you get. So f1.8 on a smartphone will give you a lot of background blur, but obviously not as much as a camera, for example, with a bigger sensor. And the main camera can take some very, very nice photos. As you can see, the background blur already is a lot considering the aperture, and overall this camera is very, very sharp. Let me just take a quick photo so that you can see what it looks like. Boom. This may look like it was shot on portrait mode, which is actually a good thing because it means the background blur with this is so good. And this is something that I love about this phone. As well as this also has a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera at f2.2, which isn't too bad, which should give you some background blur, as well as a telephoto camera, which means at least with this phone you'll be able to get very, very, very good and sharp images from a long way away using this camera. So overall we do have an amazing array of cameras on this phone. But it's not all about the actual cameras itself, it's also about the processing, and Google does an amazing job at doing this. In my opinion, whilst people may think otherwise, the photos that come out of this phone are very, very good. They are punchy, they are vibrant, and sometimes a bit over punchy, to be fair. To add to this, if you're taking a night photo, sometimes it looks like it's the day because of all the processing, and to say the least, compared to a proper camera like the Sony CV1, the image processing is not as true to life as I would like it to be honest. But the Pixel 6 Pro's camera software is on another level. With features like Magic Eraser, which I've used and works well, you'll be able to rub out people, in effect, from the background of your image, and sometimes this, you can tell it's a bit off sometimes. And this is a very helpful feature and most of the time works pretty well. And here's what the video is like on this phone. This is the front camera, and in my opinion it looks pretty good, and overall it's not very noisy, which is a good thing, and has a good image. But in my opinion, the back camera takes things to a whole new level. And this is the rear camera coming from the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, vlogging with this, especially because this is a heavy phone, may be difficult, but if you were to, this would work really well. The image processing is very nice, and it is a step up from what we had on the older Pixel phone. The video with the rear camera, whilst it is a massive step up, is not on the level of the likes of the iPhone 13 Pro. As well as this, the stabilization with this phone in terms of video is very good. I was very surprised, and this could well be gimbal footage if you didn't know. Also, there are a few micro shakes here and there which kind of make the video look a bit worse, but overall it's pretty good. Okay, so in my opinion, what makes a Pixel phone is the software. And given that Google now has put its own chip inside the phone, it can really work with the software to be able to create an amazing experience. And in my opinion, that's exactly what it does. Overall, using this phone on a day-to-day basis is enjoyable. It's easy to use, it's very intuitive, and overall the software is just a joy to use. If that means scrolling, touching the shutter button, opening apps, or more, you name it, it just flows. In terms of performance though, I've noticed that this phone is considerably faster than some of its older counterparts. Whilst with the Google Pixel 4a 5G, I have noticed a few slowdowns. This phone is very fluid and smooth. I haven't noticed any performance issues even when playing demanding games like F1 2021, even though I've noticed the phone does get a tiny bit warm. But playing your favourite games like Apex or Genshin Impact overall should be pretty good. So whilst the performance with this phone may be very good, the battery life, well, isn't as good. In my opinion, the battery life with this phone, whilst it can probably last you a day, is on average, I find, a bit worse than some of the previous flagship phones from Google, such as the Google Pixel 4a 5G. Overall though, the battery can last you about a day, so it should be enough for the average person. Just try not to overuse the phone, otherwise the battery can die out pretty quickly. Overall, the Google Pixel 6 Pro, in my opinion, is an amazing phone, and it's a very good upgrade, and I say that 3 times with emphasis. Very good upgrade from a previous Pixel phone, like the Pixel 4a 5G or even the Pixel 5. The Pixel 6 Pro now seems like a real flagship Google phone, to be honest, and you can definitely tell from all of the features talked about in this video. You can get this phone for around £849, which is pretty good value. My mum was able to get this on a very good deal from Vodafone. This video is not sponsored by Vodafone, for a very good deal, so you can definitely find deals on this phone. But, and this is a big but here, the price of this phone is going to be in touching distance with the iPhone 13 Pro. So if you have a lot of Apple products like a MacBook or an Apple Watch, the iPhone 13 Pro would be the better choice. It just makes more sense. But if you're going to get a Pixel Watch and you want a companion phone, or vice versa, then this is a great phone for you, and it's definitely an extremely good buy. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about the Pixel 6 Pro. After all of the software updates to get it to where it was supposed to be in terms of how good it is, this feels like a great phone. If you want to see some of my other videos on Pixel phones in general, I'll leave the links down below and in the cards up there and up there throughout the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.